Please listen carefully.
Hello, universe, and welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Amelia Buckley.
And I'm Summers McKay.
We're part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to one focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, TGIF-worthy podcast. Today is Friday, the 3rd of September, 2021. Happy upcoming holiday weekend. Hi. How are you?
Happy Friday.
Yeah. How's it going there in Bozeman, Montana these days, my friend?
Things are good. It is starting to get cold here, but I knew that was going to happen, and I'm ready for it. But,
is it really like fall is upon you?
Fall, it like almost happened overnight. Like not necessarily a change in temperature, but just like a change in the light. It became fall like just one day. But there's a lot of live music in Montana, which is very cool. So I'm going to see a live outdoor concert in Big Sky, which is about an hour from me tonight. And it is a Tom Petty cover band. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Whoa, that's really fun. Tom Petty was one of the first, the real Tom Petty, not the cover band, was one of the first concerts I ever saw when I was in college. I went to the Fillmore in San Francisco and saw Tom Petty. It was amazing.
Tom Petty playing at a venue that small.
It was so cool. We were inches away from him, and at the last set, he like stepped away for a bit and then came back out. And he was clearly so stoned because he just jammed for about 9 minutes. And it was just really cool to watch him work. Anyway, Tom Petty is in my heart, Amelia. I'm excited for you. That's going to be a really fun weekend. What else are you doing this holiday weekend?
I am going camping with some friends on Saturday, which should be fun. Another fun thing about living here is that camping is like a 20-minute drive in any direction. So we're going to do that. I'm going to try and get a mountain bike ride in, kind of making the most before it starts snowing here.
Right. Well, we do have our Optimist Daily Update challenge that we have to set forth. And I'm so sorry that Kristy's not here to commit to it. But let's see, what did we talk about this week? So we had stories about gorillas and media literacy on Monday. And then on Tuesday, I talked about my deep love of cemeteries. And Kristy shared that dancers in Glasgow's energy is now being harnessed to power a nightclub. Funny thing about that story, it got posted on Reddit by somebody who loves the Optimist Daily, and it got like 3,500 upvotes, and a lot of the comments were really funny, like, headlines that sound like anime character plots. And anyway, so dancing could be on. I just don't know how we could harness the energy of our dancing. Now, there's movement learning and kids' mental health. That was the focus for Wednesday. And then Thursday, we talked about infections and clean water. So I feel like there's one thing that we can really do this weekend for our challenge. And I think that's probably movement learning. What do you think?
I definitely like that one because I find that helps me a lot. Like I am, as much as it probably annoys people that study near me, I'm big on like fidgeting while I work or study. I like tap my feet and I sit cross-legged and like swirl around in my chair. So
yeah. When I was studying for the SAT, I remember they told me to chew cinnamon gum and then during the SAT, chew cinnamon gum, right?
I heard that one too.
Yeah. So how do we turn this into a challenge? How do we make movement learning an actual challenge for us this weekend and for those who are listening? How should we frame this?
So I have one idea that we could do. We could pick like another podcast to listen to, like a highly educational podcast, or maybe even like a nonfiction book, and listen to it on a walk. So that way we're absorbing kind of complex intellectual information, but also while we're moving.
I love this. So everybody find a subject that you really want to deep dive into, learn more about, and then you want to be able to then share about it. So it's going to be listen, learn, move, then teach. All right.
I like it.
Yeah. Okay. So pick a podcast or something, audiobook, listen to it while you're walking, think about it, learn about it, and then teach it to someone else. And we will report back on Tuesday, I think Tuesday or Wednesday, probably Wednesday because it's the holiday weekend. And I'll loop Kristy in, and all three of us will report back on Wednesday on how this went. All right.
Kristy's going to be like, oh, I have to listen to a podcast and walk. Tucker, twist my arm.
She's going to be like, but my silent practice. Sorry, Kristy. Okay, so we've got that checked off. We've got some other business to check off today, like namely, what are the headlines that we really want to talk about at the Optimist Daily? You first or me first? You pick.
I can go first. I'm pretty excited about mine.
All right.
So my headline really caught my attention because I just love when we have stories that recognize how intersectional some of the challenges in our world are, because it's true that, no issue is black and white. All of our different social issues especially are all kind of intertwined with one another. And this story really highlights that. The headline reads, Long-Term Wellness, Why Some Medical Clinics Are Hiring On-Site Lawyers. And it's talking about a specific health clinic in Colorado, the Salud Family Health Centers Clinic. But there are 450 of these medical legal partnerships that exist across the U.S. And it's essentially, this specific clinic has gotten permission to use Medicaid money to sponsor legal help at the medical clinic. And the goal is to reduce overall levels of stress and keep families intact to promote long-term health and wellness. So it's essentially recognizing that a lot of the challenges that we face in our day-to-day lives actually impact our physical health and our mental health. So, for example, if you face a lot of stress regarding your job or your employment status or your living situation, that is going to translate into stress-related chronic illnesses like heart disease, obesity, gastrointestinal issues. And so they're essentially saying, well, if we can fund legal advice in these clinics, we can deal with these long-term medical issues at their source. And actually, a study from the Colorado School of Public Health found that putting legal resources in medical clinics resulted in drops in stress levels, improved physical health, and fewer missed medical appointments, because people who are dealing with pressing legal issues where they're defending their right to live somewhere, work somewhere, or have custody of their children are going to be missing medical appointments because they just aren't prioritizing their health. And one example that really struck with me is actually from the chief medical officer at this specific clinic. And they explained a scenario in which, a doctor can treat a child with asthma, but if the root cause of that asthma is a living situation where there's mold and a landlord that's refusing to deal with it, then it's just going to be a recurring issue. But if you have a lawyer in the clinic, that lawyer can draft a letter and send it to the landlord and essentially threaten legal action over these unsafe living premises. And it addresses, the health issue at its root, which I thought was so cool, because you don't even think about how so many of these issues are intertwined. And realistically, if you're solving the problems that are putting these chronic stressors on you, you're going to experience immense health benefits by dealing with them at the source.
I think that one thing I love about this headline is that with everything that's going on in the news today, and at this time right now with the just unbelievable bans that are happening for women's reproductive health, when I first read this headline, I was like, yeah, every doctor needs a lawyer to protect them. I didn't even think about the depth to which this article would go, right? That it actually has absolutely nothing to do with protecting the physicians who do need protection, but instead for protecting the patients. And I just think this is a very, very fascinating way of taking on problems in a holistic sense. And, it's a great article. I think it's going to do really well for a lot of people to read it, and a model not only to educate people on, how these organizations are doing this, but also reminding people that chronic health problems are often social justice issues and are often due to living conditions or situations that are not being addressed. So I think this article is deep and thoughtful and meaningful, and I appreciate that you picked it.
So maybe on a lighter end of the spectrum, do you have anything you want to share with us? We picked kind of opposite. We picked a heavy and a light story today, but I love them both equally.
We did. So mine is equally informational, but we're going to call it Fruity Fridays around here. this morning, as I was making my morning breakfast for my darling little toddler who eats half a banana and 2 or 3 strawberries chopped into very distinctive sizes every morning, I was looking at this container of strawberries, and every week we end up with strawberries left over because there's no way she can polish off a whole container of strawberries each week. But yet every week when we go to the store, we get one. So I was actually thinking to myself, what could I do with these old strawberries? Now, I blended them up and froze them and figured I'd address it later. But lo and behold, I should have logged on to the Optimist Daily before making said decision, because the headline reads, "Don't toss your overripe fruit. 4 ways to put it to good use." You can certainly compost overripe fruit in the name of creating zero waste habits. However, it's a really good practice to try to use everything possible before even discarding it into compost. So these 4 ways help you make the most of overripe fruit. Number 1, a warm water bath. Now, once your fruit's ripe, but not overly ripe, it actually turns out slowing the ripening and killing off mold spores can be achieved by dunking berries in warm water, 125 degrees Fahrenheit, for about half a minute. Drain and spread them out in a single layer on some paper towel. And voila, pop them back in the fridge. You have fruit for longer than you planned. 2, make sorbet. This one's sort of what I did, which is pretty much blend it up and pop it in the freezer. However, I popped it in the freezers into basically like strawberry ice cube blocks. I think if I pulled out the ice cream maker and threw it in, I could take it up a notch and it would be ice cream or gelato. Crumbles, crisps, pies, or cobblers for everyone who has time to bake or make pickles. You can certainly put them into a yummy recipe. Now, this last solution, which is totally my favorite out of this, is actually making homemade fruit leather, which is pretty simple. You're going to take the fruit and cook it down into basically a compote. You're going to lay it out on wax paper. You're going to bake it, and then you're going to slice it, and you have homemade fruit leathers for your kids. So these are some great solutions. And as much as it's just a little bit fruity and a little bit playful, I felt like that was a pretty good one to walk and talk through today on the Optimist Daily. We could have made that our weekend challenge, because I'm totally doing that anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, me too.
Like that. I mean, we can make it easy on ourselves, but I think we should continue to invest in our education and our expansion by memory, walking, learning. What else can you read on the Optimist Daily today before you get to your weekend?
We've got some other great headlines. We know how we love Ikea. We've got Ikea's Buyback and Resale program has launched in select U.S. stores. So we wrote about this one actually about a year ago when they launched it in Europe, and now they've brought it to the U.S. So that's fun.
Woo, woo, go Ikea. There's a few brands that we let the brand name show up in the stories, and it's like Lego, Ikea. We have some. We're fans of some companies. Yep.
Got community level big data offers a clearer picture of disaster resiliency. So this is cool, using like data sourcing to predict recovery rates from natural disasters. And that one focused on Hurricane Harvey, but it is also being used for Hurricane Ida. Modified prairie grass cleans up munitions chemical pollution. Thought that one was interesting.
Yeah.
A startup helps build solar panels where they're most needed. 7 ways to boost your oral hygiene game. I was pretty proud to say that I do at least 5 of these. I could definitely maybe get some more mouthwash. I don't really use mouthwash, but I do floss.
Well, I think Kristy has like a perspective that mouthwash was like a weird invention that was not necessary, but the flossing and the brushing, gotta do.
A big mouthwash conspiracy.
Yeah, a big mouthwash conspiracy, but pulling, I don't know if it's in there, but pulling with coconut oil, super good for your gums. Just a reminder. I know that's gross to you. Let's see. Okay, 4 more stories. Oh my goodness. No, just 3 more. Pecans prove effective in lowering high cholesterol. Pecans, depending how you say it. Chronic aches and pains, your sleeping position may be to blame. And this service allows employers to subsidize workers' childcare. Big employers, subsidize your workers' childcare. Help women stay in the workforce and in leadership tracks and leadership roles. Do it. It's a thing. Okay, so that's my soapbox for today. Fruit leather and subsidized childcare and walking and learning. Sound about right?
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
All right. Hey, everybody, thank you for listening to the Optimist Daily Update today and this week. We promise to continue to share positive solution-based stories with ideas on how you can participate in this changing world and ensure it's changed for the good. Listen, guys, if you're looking for a way to help the Optimist Daily and you have not yet become an emissary, that is one path. Another really important path is to share our stories on social media. Subscribe to our podcast. Comment, and if you're a Reddit user, like have been a Reddit user for a long time, please share our stories on Reddit. Thanks everybody for listening. We will see you on Monday for a very special version of the Optimist Daily Update.
Bye, guys.